I just left one of the most dynamic sessions this weekend at Women of Power with Valorie Burton on Successful Women Think Differently. Valorie, it was absolutely amazing.
Oh, thank you. I had a good time with the ladies. It was a great session.
I think everyone responded just so well. Why do you say successful women think differently?
Because they do. Successful women explain their successes differently, their failures differently. They deal with adversity differently. And when I talk about success, I'm talking about happiness, I'm talking about resilience. I'm not just talking about all that external stuff. And so it really takes a different thought process to get there.
It's interesting that you say that you talk about health and when you think of success, because one of the things I wrestle with, and I know a lot of our viewers also wrestle with, is how do you define success? I mean, how do we define success?
That was one of the first questions that I asked, and I think it's important for everybody to ask that question of themselves. But in the book, I describe it as this harmony between purpose, resilience, and joy. You have to know why you're here. You have to be able to navigate the setbacks and unexpected turns of life, and you need to have fun. I mean, you need to be able to experience joy whether you're going through something difficult or not. And so I kind of take people through that process, but that's my definition of success in the book.
Now, your book obviously is very mass and general market and catered to all women, but why is this principle, and what is it different? How is it different for Black women and women of color?
Well, I think, if we even look at, Black women work more. When you look at the hours, we work more. A lot of times we are more likely than other women to be head of household. There are a lot of different issues that we deal with and challenges that we deal with, but I also think we have a lot of opportunity. We have a lot of influence in our communities, and so we need to pay attention to the influence we have when we're able to live those lives that are resilient, because we're role models in that, but also to have joy. It's a passion of mine to help Black women have a life that is more joyful. That doesn't mean everything goes your way all the time, but it means that you're able to have the kind of attitude that it takes to have joy despite your circumstances.
So the theme of this year's Women of Power Summit is your power, your truth. How do you define power?
Oh, wow, that's a really great question. How do I define power? I think, one, there's the power that's within you, and that's God. I mean, you have to know that if you can tap into that spiritually, if you're able to really hear from God, you'll have that sense of direction for where you should be going, whether it's professionally or personally. But I also think that power has to do with our influence. And it's not always that you have a title. It's not always that you've got lots of money. That might be the case. But a lot of times it's about what's the influence you're having on your family, on the people in your workplace, in your community. That's real power. And a lot of times that happens one person at a time.
I love that. I must tell you, I purchased this book along with 3 others, one for me, and I'm also going to give them as gifts. So I'm encouraging all of our viewers to definitely look at the book. I'm excited to read it. Thank you so much, Valorie.
Thank you, Ty.
And I also know that you have the CAP Institute happening in Atlanta very soon. Would you like to share a little bit about that?
Absolutely. So the CAP Institute is coaching in positive psychology, and one of the things that we do is coach training. So we've got a coach training intensive coming up March 10th through the 12th in Atlanta, and we have one that will be coming up in June in Washington, D.C. So if they go to capinstitute.com, CAPP.com, or they can go to my website.
You said March 8th through the 11th. I will be in Atlanta for Black women in film. I actually might show up at some point.
Oh, that would be great.
So, honestly, because I was so moved. So
it's the 10th through the 12th.
10th through the 12th. Hopefully I'll check it out. Thank you so much, Valorie.
Thanks, Ty.
Congratulations.
Thank you.